Good morning everybody and welcome back to the LEGO Legend of Zelda Custom Set Showcase Wave 4.5 I guess today, because today we're doing a special set that doesn't quite fit anywhere else because it's that magical time of year. As we take a look at Z0099 with 1,371 pieces, it's this year's Christmas set and it is a big one. Have yourself a merry Ultrahand Christmas is our title for today, and we will be looking at not only the Hateno School 7 figures but also an Ultrahand constructed sleigh for delivery. And this marks the first time that we've done a proper Christmas set where we actually have Link as Santa, as every other time we've done it across the 2 advent calendars and small set we either haven't had one or Link has not been involved. So today we'll be taking a look at this setup close at ages 8 and up with 1,371 pieces, retailing for 109.99 Great British Pounds for 7 figures and 2 brick-built characters. And before we take a closer look, let me just quickly read this set's description to give you an idea of what's coming up. Help Link bring magic to Hyrule using Ultrahand in the limited edition seasonal set based off The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Use a collection of Zonai devices to build a sleigh and bring brightly coloured presents and some Zelda references to the children of Hateno. Build the schoolhouse filled with game-accurate details and removable Christmas decor to complete your festive Hyrule scene. But the fun doesn't end there. Use Ultrahand to decorate the village by attaching materials to garlands, the snowman and cooking pots, all to bring a merry season to all your figures. And what a lovely little message, and there are multiple different inspirations going into this one. Specifically, of course, the 2 big ones being the annual employee Christmas gift set that LEGO does each year, and we've of course seen a Star Wars themed version of that, and in this universe where LEGO Zelda is so popular, maybe that could happen, although it's certainly not in this form, or just they're getting bolder about putting large-scale Christmas themed sets out. So this is obviously heavily inspired by the Winter Village, and yeah, that is the only reason we're doing one of these. Why don't I celebrate the holidays here on the channel? Yeah, I would if LEGO did sets for them, and this is really the only one where crossing over with Zelda really makes any sense. So here we are with this, just an excuse to have some fun each December. And of course, if you want to check out the previous ones, I'll talk to you more about that at the end. But let's take a look at our building detail and up close and see all of the little cute details I've been able to pack in, because it's definitely one of my favorites as far as the Christmas sets go. So the 2 main components, I really do want to start with that sleigh. I just think this is such a fun concept and is actually where the set design process began, because I was thinking about whether I wanted to do an advent calendar this year or nothing at all, and I did have just this idea popped into my head of making great use of everyone's almost unanimously favourite set, Z0077, the Ultrahand Creativity Toolbox, and seeing what I could do to make a sleigh. So these parts don't all come from that set, but they are obviously requiring some stronger connections to keep everything together. But it is a sleigh made out of Zonai parts. Now I haven't tested this in Tears of the Kingdom to see if it works, but you can see of course that this thing is propelled with rockets. It tried to have that sort of shape of a sleigh, so it's kind of bulked up at the back, being using these wings for storage for all the presents. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rockets all over the place. We've got some lights. We've actually got a mix of carts and sleds so that the thing can sort of drive along the ground, but also ski along snow, because of course this is a winter set. And then at the front we've got our reindeer here simulated with homing carts, which yeah, I could have used other Zonai devices and parts or even deer to pull the sleigh, but I thought the homing carts were funnier because they're just our little dogs. And unfortunately this did mean I had to sacrifice their tails, because I can't just glue everything on ceremoniously. Some things do require stronger connections. So these guys are attached in the front representing our reindeers, and actually from the top you can see there is a 3rd wing in the set, which is where our steering wheel is, and this wing is obviously what all the wood's been attached to and is sort of the core of the build. Once again, I want to draw attention to those lights and of course the steering sticks, and also the secondary propulsion in the form of the rockets. Now it was also important that this sleigh could do its job and carry, well, gifts and presents to all the kids of Hateno. So the back is heavily raised up, and around the back side you can see there's some wooden planks to keep everything in, and then of course 4 fans to add to our propulsion, so we're not just gliding through the air, we actually have power too. And 2 of those are angled downwards, which creates a really interesting angle, I think, and I really like how that turned out. Of course though, this sleigh is mostly about the presents, and that happens to be my favourite part. But before we load it up, I should point out that we've also got some batteries, because this is obviously going to require a lot of energy, and I don't think Rara is going to let Link get away with using it all for free. So we've got 1 big and 4 small batteries in there, and the set does actually also include 3 Zonai chargers. This is a print I created back with the Robbie figure in Lookout Landing, Z0075, my Tears of the Kingdom wave. I'm now realizing that as this is a Tears of the Kingdom set, I really should have done this last Christmas, but the idea did not strike, so I guess that's that. But yeah, 3 Zonai charges in addition if you need to crunch some extra power for Link's flight, because we do not want a sleigh falling out of the sky onto Hateno Village. There are also, of course, lots of studs and different pieces around, but unfortunately this back section really is mostly about structural stability, so it's not as big and as built up as I was originally dreaming, but no matter, still lots of place to put a load of presents inside, like you can see here. Of course, there is some more room where you can toss some stuff, and there's actually some smaller presents found inside the Hateno Village. And of course, all these materials like ice fruits and fire fruits might be presents to someone, particularly the Korok maybe, and maybe those get thrown in the back as well. But we do have some really interesting gifts here, and this is the first time the CSS is going meta, and one of the only times where I'll be including a reference to the existing LEGO set, because our first gift here is the LEGO Deco Tree. Now, regardless of what I did this year, I knew this was going to be featured, mostly to pay homage to the set that finally was real and gave me my dream come true after 14 years, but also because I really wanted to create this 2x3 box tile here, which Legoizes the box. Now, we've seen LEGO do this plenty of times for many different sets, specifically in City for the City delivery trucks, but also the Disney Castle had one, and some other really iconic sets like Assembly Square and Cafe Corner. But yeah, I really like how that looks, and I tried to simplify it in the same style that they do, and I think I got pretty close. It's not the best one out there, but really this was never going to be it because I wanted to do a micro-scale build. Now, I did this around the same time we were running a competition on the channel, and one of our entrants, Josh Builds Lego, actually did a micro-scale version of one of these in his entrance. So this one is trying to be a little bit unique to this, but obviously there's definitely some inspiration taken there. But again, this idea has been down on paper for a long time, but I really did love his design, and there's definitely some elements of that here. But yeah, it micro-scales the Deco Tree as if it's a Lego set that the children of Hateno can play with. We've got 2 pink leaves on the front, 2 trees off to the side, and then a Master Sword pedestal just represented with a triangle, which yes is oversized, but I prefer color blocking over scale blocking, so we'll see. I really wanted to get the aerial roots in there for this version of the tree, hence the cheese slope in the front, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that came out. I really like having a black base underneath, and I'm going to look into getting one of these for real life, because I think it's cute. I really like this as a concept, and I think it's very sweet, and it makes fitting to pay homage here, even if it doesn't make any canonical sense within the CSS. It's a nice little Easter egg. It's not the only present though, although I think it is the coolest. We also have some generic ones here. You can see 2 smaller ones, which are actually going to be stored inside the Hateno school in some stockings. But we also have 2 wider boxes, which open up and would have rupees and various different trinkets inside. And then a rounded one as well, which is very similar to one of the ones I featured in the advent calendar, but actually has a golden tile on the top, which could be seen as sort of like a heart container. We also have a crate for you to put loose things in, potentially the Deco Tree set, although that would be a very haphazard way, and I'm going to give Zonai Santa Link a little slap on the wrist for that one, because there's another way to transport your Lego set. Everybody knows cling filming them is truly the best way. We also have 2 guitars. This is a bit of a homage to the 2014 Santa's workshop, which also included guitars in their sleigh. I don't know, it just feels fitting, and also I like the idea of music central to the Zelda franchise, so having kids rock out on a guitar might be quite funny. I don't know. But then we also have some plushies, and I wanted these plushies to represent the bosses and other iconic details. One that I really love, and the first one we have here, is the Light Dragon. I don't know, I'm really weirdly happy with this micro scale Light Dragon. I think she came out right. I really like using the 1x2 rounded, I don't know, they were used as pork in Minecraft tiles on the eyes to represent the grey sort of shapes on the head, and then the use of the Overwatch guns to get that little bit of a curl, and then the aqua cheese slopes. I really like that. I think that's cute. So this is like a plush dragon for someone to hold, or maybe it might be the gift for Zonai Link, because he might feeling a little bit sad because Zelda is not in this set. I also microscaled all the bosses, because I just think the idea of these monsters being like cute and chibi, and then just being like hugged and squished like they're so fluffy by a Hateno child is super entertaining to me. So we've got Colgera here, who is a little bit rigid, to be honest, but I like the shaping, and it's like a giant like snake worm plush. And we've got Marbled Goma, who looks so silly, but I also really like the technique being used there. And then the other 3 I like slightly less. I do think it's funny that Queen Gibdo kind of looks like a car or like a weird vehicle of some kind, but it just is the sign. And then of course Muktarok is just a fish in black, which is a recolor here, but these Christmas sets, we get allowed a little bit of magic and a little bit more leeway here. But yeah, Queen Gibdo car / bus here. It's amusing to me, and then just the worst Cease Construct. Look, by that point I was tired, I was done. We didn't really need Cease Construct here. But yeah, those are our 5 little boss plushes. The Zelda one's definitely my favorite, but nothing can top having a microscope Deco Tree. Okay, let's talk side builds before we start moving towards the school. And first up we have a Korok. Again, if we're giving gifts, we've got to give a gift to the Korok here, and we've got one of the giving statues. This one's at a bigger scale to the ones we've done before. We've done these in advent calendars and things, so I wanted to try out a new technique, and this is something that obviously we see in real Lego sets, where just because we think they might have a perfect technique, they're still going to try new things and mix things up. So once again, I'm actually using the rounded pieces here to make it look like the statue is kind of holding the bowl, and the bowl is still using the 3x3 dish, and we had to use a panel piece to indent the body, which makes it look slightly weird and under detailed, but you know what, it's figuring itself out. It's perfectly fine in my opinion. We also have an apple here, of course, to summon the Korok, which we can make appear right above, and this one is the 5-prong leaf design, which is actually using a heart and a leaf paste for the face to add a little bit more variety. This one is definitely more inspired by the official ones, not in its width, but in its leaf mask design, because using gold would not be something I would have considered otherwise. But I'm sticking to my promise that even though we know that Koroks would now be one-studded, and I prefer that design, in the canon of the CSS, I've established that I am using the 2 wide ones, so I'm forced to stick with it, even though he looks so ugly. He's also got his little like rattle stick as well, which is a lot of fun. But that's not our only side build. We have this very cursed snowman here, and this one's inspired by community Ultrahand builds where we were sticking Keith's eyes to various different planks of wood and other things, and then of course onto snowballs and such. So yeah, this is 2 snowballs that have been stuck together with Ultrahand, and of course round shapes where you need to attach studs to the outside is a little tricky in LEGO, so he looks a little bit cursed, but to be honest, that kind of fits the vibe because these community creations were also cursed. So we're using the Dream's Eye piece here to represent 2 Keith's eyes, and we're actually using a blue moblin horn, which has been clipped on here to be the mouth of this very smiley snowman. And I like that because it represents a different use of Ultrahand, and that is what this set is based around. It's not just having a Ultrahand sleigh that Link has put together to bring joy, but you're going to see that all of the Christmas decorations in this set are facilitated through Ultrahand. So the snowman and the way the gifts are being delivered and stuff you'll see later on the school. However, this next build is just the generic one. Didn't really have a choice but to include this one, and this is of course a Christmas tree. I wanted to do something slightly different, so I try using the fern elements. I'm not 100% happy with it, but it's passable and different, and I think really stands out. I actually particularly like that I was able to use 2 tones, specifically dark green and regular green, to make this work. Although I don't appreciate at the top, I feel like we almost need like a fern piece that goes in 2 directions so that we don't have this weird staggering at the top. If you're wondering what the star is, it's a star fragment. I couldn't get much better. I'm sure there's a better way, but I'm going to go with this, which is actually very similar to what they used for, I believe, is it Moon Rocks? I'm not an Animal Crossing fan, in the new Celeste stargazing set that's coming up. And instead of gifts under the tree, which you could put under the tree, we have pots here, because another Zelda reference, and of course we can smash the pots and rubies and so on. The next side build is an Addison sign, another classic that I felt had to be here, but also because Ultrahand is key to its puzzle mechanic, and of course you want to give Addison a break at Christmas time, so maybe Link can give him a gift using the presents or something to stack something up and stop it from falling over, or perhaps you could even use the snowman's balls. But otherwise there's another way to get those stickers, and this is the exact same build just on a white plate that was featured in the Bedrock Bistro set. So that's a lot of fun too. We're just using a Mario plate for the penultimate side build here, and this is of course the cooking setup, or one of the cooking setups. This is specifically a roasting spit for a turkey or Christmas dinner, but of course we're using Zonai parts. And let's be honest, I already have a cooking setup in this set that you're going to see in a moment that's more accurate to the game. So this one purely was because I could just see the vision of using the Ultrahand parts for this like really classic LEGO item that's appeared in sets from like Adventurers to like Pirates of the Caribbean, where there's something roasting on a stick. It's just everywhere. So yeah, we're using a Mario plate just because it's got a lot of studs and is big and easy to build, but you've got 2 stakes that are fused into the ground, and then a rod on the top of them that's rotating through using a wheel motion, which I think is a fun touch. And of course you would spin the wheel to make this rotate like in a human way, so that's like double feature there. You've got the turkey on it, and of course it's being lit by 2 flame emitters which have been glued into the ground, which I know you can't do, but imagine there's stakes there or something. Either way, flame emitter roasted turkey is a lot of fun. So we're now technically onto the main build, but of course this little side bit off to the side, which is the Hateno village cooking site, can just be detached. So we're going to take a look at that first. Now, even the theming doesn't stop there, as this is actually attached with a stake. The string piece, which is weirdly invisible in this render, sometimes studio is strange, is stuck into the wall with the stake, which is again, it's another full detail and almost makes it look handcrafty. And this is another one of those Christmas decorations which has been put up using Ultrahand, like I said. Once again, missing from this render, I don't know why you just saw it in the other shot. I promise you it's there. It's the string with clip pieces, meaning we've got these dark turquoise clips here to hang a string of lights. And these string of lights are made of things that are glow or are elemental in the games. So we have a shock fruit using the peach piece, which is a perfect piece that already exists in the right color. I need to buy some. We've got the fire fruit print, which is a reuse here from Z073, the King Leok fight. We have a bright bloom, of course, actually glowing, and then an ice fruit. I wanted to get the 3 elementals in here as well, well. I know technically I'm missing like glow shrooms and some of the depths stuff in this set, but I wanted the 3 elementals and a bright bloom here, all on a string hanging down to this little outpost here. This is one you can actually see in Hateno Village, so again it's just another accurate detail. You'll notice that compared to the school, this one has snow detailing on the roofs and the school itself does not, and that is partially because I wanted the school to be usable in both contexts. And yes, you're going to see Christmas decorations on it, but those are all designed to be easily removable so you can have the play loop of putting up the decorations, but also because that building has a lot of white on it already. I did try adding snow to the roofs and it didn't work. I needed the contrast of a dark orange, so it was swings and roundabouts, but I decided we could put some snow on here on this very basic and plain round roof, and that's just done with wedge slabs and tiles and little bits of teeth pieces. Very classic technique. And yeah, really this is just for you to cook up all these ingredients that are around with sets. Now looking at it, of course, a lot of these ingredients are actually inedible, like the fire fruit, shock fruit and ice fruit, but we could put the turkey on it, or the apples, and Link can hum away, and it's just a cute little setup. It's nice, it adds to the vibe, and it has 2 cooking pots on it, which is really nice. But time for the main event, the school. This is another place where we're going to see Ultrahand decorations strung up, but also the reason we chose the school. Now, I could have chosen Link's house, I could have chosen normal houses from Hateno, I could have chosen the castle, I could have just done the sleigh on its own, and I think some people would have preferred that. But the reason I chose to expand this out is because the Hateno school doesn't really stand a chance of being in another custom set, because I truly don't really believe it works as its own. I don't think a school set would sell. I don't think it necessarily works here, but because it's a location where there are lots of kids and it has a fairly unique architecture, and I did want to represent the Hudson architecture, and also a couple of people did ask for it, weirdly enough. I thought it made an interesting pick here, and I do like how vertical it is as well, and obviously the colors are quite bright, so I think it suits this concept really well. But let's be honest, this is really, really low down the priority list as far as models that need to be made, but I do like how it turned out. That being said, the Hudson construction architecture, not Tarrytown, but the Hudson construction style, will be appearing in a set. We have a fantastic idea for that coming up later on, but because that's a really long way away, I also thought I'd include it here in the first 100. So, big details. Of course, we have the cuboid style, and I really wanted to capture that wooden edges, so you'll notice we've got the cut tiles in white that go all the way around the edges of these big color blocks with simple windows in the middle, and at the corners where the colors meet to represent that sort of shaved off edge, which yes, we don't have the angle for. We've actually got tan here representing that, like that pure exposed wood. The windows of course open, and we've got a lantern down on this side. You also notice, like I mentioned earlier, we've got more Ultrahand decorations that are also removable. Here above the front door we've got big and small bright blooms. The big ones are in that unopened state, hence why they're limeish green, and then the small ones have been open, hence why they're in white. And again, the limeish green there to contrast against the white, because there's a lot of white on this model. I know there isn't actually that much, but it really does stick out. And on the other side we still have the red and the blue, and we've got a couple of like holly leaves here, or maybe those should be wild berries or something along those lines. And then up the top we actually have 2 garlands here using the 1x2 plate technique. We've got a star fragment, we've got a shock fruit, an ice fruit and a fire fruit, and then bright blooms, and then more what should be wild berries but are actually red for a higher color contrast. And then of course we've got the 3 dark tan roofs in this weird green section. You may notice of course that the middle section is actually being shrunken and not 8 studs wide. The interior was already kind of hard to fill, and also I just kind of like the proportions of this slightly better rather than having an 8 wide middle section and door. It also just made the base plates uncomfortable, so I shrunk it by 2 studs. Fight me if you really care. And then at the top, of course, we have the bell tower with the bell in it. This one doesn't ring, unfortunately. I prioritize aesthetics. And the roofs don't come to a point, so that we've got places for Link to stand on the sleigh or park the sleigh up here, but also to stop wasting parts and stop the part count from ballooning. And then at the very, very, very top, we have the 6x6 flag, which is one of the few times I've been able to use this part. This is always one of those parts that I feel should have already retired, and then I keep seeing it in sets. So here it is with a sticker of the Hylian crest on it. And I'm using the new door as well, the one that was introduced in the medieval village and is now coming in Tudor Corner, the modular for 2025, which we'll be talking about on this channel very, very soon. Yeah, I really like this door. It works for medieval, and I will be using it in a lot of the Zelda buildings from now forward, I think. Okay, interior looks really, really dark, but just to point out, of course, it is a 2-story interior that is largely accessible, but I had to put 2 pillars on the ground floor, so it's going to be a little bit hard to get fingers in. I wanted to keep the school, but I also wanted to add a little bit of that Christmas Eve magic. You'll also notice, of course, the garland going across the top using the dark green leaves. This is more of a Christmas one rather than a Zelda one, but it's here. You've got a wreath in the middle as well. I think it's cute. Okay, down in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got, of course, chairs and desks. Nothing on the chalkboards, but you could imagine there could literally be anything on here. Don't worry, the tapestry is in this set. But we've got chalk and pens and, of course, 3 chairs. I was going to include desks for the children, but there wasn't enough space and it was already cramped and I just didn't think it was a good idea. So yeah, mostly just chairs and 2 whiteboards there. Then at the back end, of course, you've got 3 chairs because we've got 3 children. Yes, I know there were 4 in the game, but not everyone can be here. So sorry, Azu, you got cut. And then in the far back corner, of course, we've got a bookshelf here using just the normal ingots and plates and handle techniques. And it's very, very simple and nothing really going on down here. But as I said, it's a dark, small, cramped space. I didn't want too much going on, especially once I added the second pillar because it was really quite tight. Upstairs, there's a little bit more space. This is about the same size as the Z049 Yiga Clan Attacks houses and their interiors, where their ground floors didn't have bars on them, but their upstairs had one central one, which you can see here with this wreath. Over on the left-hand side, we actually have a 2x3 sticker with the picture that they've done of Link and Zelda, where the children are really so happy, and around that, I think that's a lovely little detail from the game and one that people, if they bought this set, would really want to include. And then here are the stockings for the 3 children's, which are just sacks, and the 1x1 present stacks fit in them. So here are 2 of them. Looks like one of the children hasn't got it. Underneath the pillar, it's a detail you can't really access, but we've got a couple of more stickers, specifically 3 2x4 tiles, which have the tapestry in a nice big scale. We've done this at a smaller 1-piece scale before, I think, but this is just a big one. So people would complain about it being over 3 pieces and there being ugly gaps, but I wanted it to be big. There's some candles placed near an awful lot of wood and flame, so that looks dodgy, but I also am just really loving these candle techniques at the moment, so I just like how they look. And then on the table is actually a 2x2 map of Breath of the Wild's Hyrule and a magnifying glass to zoom in. And then over on the far side, we've got a red bed for the children, or Simon, the teacher of the school. Got a little bit of that Sheikah aesthetic, so I'm going to assume Simon, actually, using the Ninjago fence pieces, which weirdly work. We've also got this 2x4 rug tile here, which actually has a sticker on it of the Sheikah eye, which is so silly, but fun. And then also a plant pot, which is, of course, designed to look like a reference to Koroks as well, specifically because that is like the Korok flower of techniques that we've used for it. But yeah, that's all the details in the school. Obviously, there's reasons it's here, there's reasons it's not other buildings. I like the sleigh slightly more, even though I think the building is better executed. Maybe I should look into instructions for this one at some point as well. I think it could be a lot of fun, although the sleigh is probably not possible, not because of stability, but because of recolors. But let's leave it for now and go take a look at the figures. I was worried I didn't have too much to say about this one, but so many cute details that I just couldn't help myself. But anyway, let's take a look at these figures. This is Zonai Santa Link, who is a completely custom creation, and for that I gave myself one other cheeky reference to the official LEGO Zelda set, and I did do his hair in gold. Now, there's no way I would have done this if I didn't have the official set, so it is completely biased and wrong, but I like it as a little bit of a special flair. I don't know, it adds a little bit of pizzazz, but it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this at all, but it is. And he's just got a normal happy face. It is my Link hair mold that I've been using for most of it. Is the Kingdom sets, which have his hair down. So the one I'd use on the Archaic Tunic, or the Zonai Shorts version when he's naked in the caves, and a couple of other outfits. But yeah, it's a fusion of a couple of different hair pieces, was of course just the ears. But really the other interesting part of the outfit here is the dark red Santa suit with the red accents, and of course I've recreated a load of Zonai symbols. I don't know if this is like a gift from Raru or not, whatever, or it's just got these golden emblazonments on it, but you've got the swirls on the arms, you've got the triangle design, and then of course you've got like the techie zigzag patterns as well all over his lower shirt. And of course 3 golden triangles for buttons, it's Triforce time, and of course all the white fluff and normal Santa schlock. And then the boots are actually obviously the highly trouser colors, but using black instead of brown for the boots there, which is a nice little deep cut, I think. Moving into our other figures though, we have Simon here, who is a Sheikah researcher, one of the last ones, or last important ones for us to do, because we've done Purin, Robbie, and we've done Jeren, and we've done Joshua in all of their young and old forms. So Simon was one of the last big ones for us to do. I suppose Cherry is still important, and Grante maybe, but anyway, Simon was like one of the last big ones, and he's using the same-ish Sheikah designs that would be seen on the normal researchers because they're the same. He's got a 3-long bar, which is for like hitting the whiteboard to like tell you what to focus on. He's got a glasses faces print with a couple of wrinkles, some eyebrows, and his beard as well. His hair color was difficult because it's definitely white, but also the beard is definitely looking a little more gray, so I chose to give him gray beard, white eyebrows, and then he's just using the bun hair piece. Again, no chopsticks for him. I'm sorry, it's just not worth the new part, so I didn't do it. Addison is a reuse figure. He was also featured in the set that also contained the Addison signs, which was Bedrock Bistro Trouble. So he is a reprinted figure from here. He has a newer head mold, which is like a hairpiece mold, which isn't actually for him, it's for Hudson, which will appear in other sets, so I'm getting my money's worth out of it, which is why he gets a new hair mold, and also it's a really unique shape. No backpack for him in this set. He's got the same torso and legs, and it's just the Hudson construction pattern that flows straight through. No arm printing because he doesn't need it, and I'm trying to minimize figure detail where it's not necessary, but he does have dual molded legs. Pura is also a reuse, coming in here at a slightly cheaper set because she was only featured in Lookout Landing, at least in her adult Tears of the Kingdom appearance. Her adult Age of Calamity and her child Breath of the Wild were both featured in much cheaper sets. But anyway, she looks great. She's using the beehive piece here, which, yeah, okay, it's not accurate, but again, not worth a new mold, although they probably would if they did her because she's a popular character. Anyway, she's got torso and leg printing specifically quite detailed because of the golden stuff, and then she's got the chopsticks because I think that's a fun re-inclusion that represents the item she's holding. And of course, she's got a thinking expression, but I don't know really why she's here. I guess she's relevant to Simon, and she can be doing like a guest lecture, but I wanted to have another iconic character as like a reuse here as well. And then we move into the kids. As I said, there were 3 of them. Poor Azu got rejected. He's not invited to Christmas. But these are specifically obviously based off their Tears of the Kingdom appearances rather than their younger Breath of the Wild ones. Some of look which are quite creepy. First up here we have Asta, who again, all 3 of them using mid legs. No leg printing, no arm printing because they are simple figures. I'm trying to keep the budget down. But she's just got rosy cheeks, big happy smile, using the simple hairpiece because we don't really have a good one that fits her otherwise. And then just simple front and back of torso printing. Then we have Karen, who is using a different skin tone because that matches what you see in game. She's using the done-up hairpiece at the back, an existing facial expression if possible, but I don't know how many kid ones there are in this newer skin tones. It's only been like out for 2 years. And then, just as I said before, simple torso printing, plain mid-legs, plain arms. And then lastly, we have Safari, who's probably the most famous of the kids in Hateno, the most well-known. He's got those Lurelin design styles. He's using, again, a different skin tone to the other 2. So we have 3 of the skin tones, 1 reuse and then 2 of the newer ones. He's using an existing hairpiece as well, where again, there wasn't one that really quite did his hairstyle right, but because of the like shaved grade 1 sides, I chose to give him one that did have side pieces. I know thin hair in LEGO is difficult. I would have given him the Sam Wilson hair, but he does have that like back knot, so it was either exclude the back knot or include the back knot and give him more hair, and I chose this. He was a difficult one to translate because his nose is a defining feature, which is a common thing among Zelda characters, but once again, plain mid legs, which I know is inaccurate, but again, keeping those budgets down, plain arms, and then his shell covered torso and belt as well. So capturing a little bit of his essence with that cheeky smile, but probably not the most accurate translations, but is what it is. We also have 2 brick built characters, specifically the Candy Cane Chew, who only was included because I love doing this every time. I should have done one last year, but I didn't. And I've got an idea for next year too. We got a Candy Cane Chew, so it is just a Christmas themed chew. I keep doing this, I love doing it. I think it's so silly, but they're the perfect things to do as like little Christmas mascots. So we had the Wrapped Up in Lights chew, and we had the Cookie Chew in the advent calendars, which you totally go check out. They're both shorts and Instagram posts this month. So there are 2 of them. It's crazy. So this is our 3rd seasonal chew, and I know exactly what I want to do next. And then lastly, we of course have the Korok. Here's what I mentioned about that 5-leaf prong design. I wonder if this would actually work on the wand design, because then that would give more variety to the existing 3 masks that we had. As someone that's looking to acquire more of those, that could be really interesting. But we've already talked about his design, so I won't bore you with that. But that is actually going to do it for Z0099. Of course, as I mentioned, last year Z0087, the Cozy Campfire Christmas, not a big jump in those set numbers for a year, although we did go back and finish a load of like unfinished projects and stuff this year, so, and also a lot of castle work. Anyway, Z0087 Cozy Campfire Christmas was the small version of this, which was inspired by the Star Wars dioramas, like the little cute one they did on the Millennium Falcon. And also like promos and side pieces to Winter Village sets. So this is then the bigger version, which is inspired by the Winter Village and the other Star Wars set, which was the employee exclusive X-Wing, which also inspired the Ultrahand vehicle here as well. So these 2 work as a nice pair. I still think Cozy Campfire Christmas is incredibly underrated, so I would go check out that video. I just think it's cozy and cute, and I think this one has a lot of the same atmosphere, but more of that merry fun as well. There's a lot of whimsy in these, and I just think they're adorable. I don't know, I just like spreading a little bit of magic this time of year, whether you celebrate or not. I truly do believe it's a time for coming together. And then of course we do have these 2 advent calendars with Z014, the original one from 2020, and Z051, the Hero of the Sea. Both of them great. I love 0014, but the art's looking a little dated these days, although I think the builds are more just essence of Zelda, whereas the 51 largely focuses, and I say largely, on the Toon Link trilogy of games. And I think both of them have fantastic builds, and as I mentioned, these two have been updated very, very recently, so we're doing daily shorts, which you should totally check out, and if you're not in the mood for that, I do them as Instagram posts each day, and I love the figures in here, and if you want to see the chews, that is the place to go. But yeah, let me know what you think of the 099 Merry Ultrahand Christmas. This one just kept ballooning, but I love it. This is one of the few ones I've let go slightly above my original goal because it's just so colourful, and the more I look at it, the more I'm really happy with it, and it's settled right in at home, which I love. Yeah, it's a nice fun time. So I will see you guys next week, and although this may be the last normal custom set of the year, there is still the fan choice CMF coming at the very, very end of December, which is an EX set. But let me know all your thoughts and feedbacks on this one, and have a very merry season whether you celebrate or not. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.